and hello students, welcome to Skholar IAS current affair classes. If you want to update yourselves with current developments for the exam, then this is the right place. So without any delay, let's get into the classes. The first article is about emergency use authorization. So this is an article from Indian Express paper, and this is related to your GS2 paper under social justice section. Okay, so students, this is also important for prelims because you even ask this term and ask a question on it. So let's see what is given about it. Students, we know that there are many companies that are trying to develop vaccine for COVID-19, and many have even come out with certain types of vaccines, and they are now applying for EUA, that is the emergency use authorization. So what is this EUA? Normally guys, whenever a development happens around the medical field, that is like development of a vaccine or medicine or even a diagnostic test or any medical device is being developed, they require the approval of that particular regulatory authority in that country. For example, in India we have CDSCO, that is Central Drug Standard Control Organization. It is under Ministry of Health. Students, remember this point is very important for your prelims. Make a note of it. You can also do a homework on this. Go to this particular website of CDSCO and read few points in the about section. Okay, you will get some input on that. There can be a question on this organization as well. So this organization, what they do basically is they will assess the safety of any such device or any medicine that is being developed, because ultimately it is going to be used on humans. So they have to make sure that there is no danger on using it on patients. So they will do an assessment of it. But what happens is, for human trial to happen, it's a lengthy process. It takes years to complete the whole process of assessment. So to give for an interim period, they normally give an approval. So this interim approval is what is called as EUA. Okay. Now the question that arises is, when is it granted? When EUA is granted? See, the process of granting EUA differs from country to country. For example, in US, the US FDA, that is the authority to decide on that would give approval to such development for such vaccines or new test or any medical device. So what does US FDA does is, they basically grant EUA after successful completion of phase 3 trials, so that they can assess the potential benefits, and they have to ensure that the potential benefits actually outweigh the potential risk that would arise out of that particular vaccine that is being developed. But in case of India, we do not have any such explicit provision for EUA. Why? So what happens? There is lack of clarity around it, and there is no even defined set of process to get an approval for EUA. But the CDSCO, without even having any legal provision in place, has been granting emergency approval for COVID drugs. So it has actually, CDSCO has actually granted permission, EUA permission for vaccines like remdesivir for treatment of COVID patients. So this is the current status of India in terms of how they deal with this EUA process. Now the question that should arise is, how often are these EUA being granted? See, this is totally a new phenomenon. EUA is not something that we have been following for years. This is totally new, and USA first time it approved EUA for treatment of H1N1 infection among infants. So normally EUA is granted only in cases of infections that are declared as public health emergencies. Okay. Similar to corona, we had other public health emergency infections like Ebola, Zika, MERS, everything. So students, this is what it is all about EUA. Remember one thing, we have not analyzed aspects around EUA, rather we have understood what is EUA. It is more informative than analysis part. Okay, so this could be a potential question in prelims exam. So make sure you grasp every point that you have gone through now. Second article is related to disability. It is relevant for GS2 paper, social justice section, we have a separate topic here, so that is relating to health, development management of social sector service related to health and education. First, let's try to understand what is in news. So United Nations every year celebrate December 3rd as the day of International Day of Persons with Disabilities, that is PWD. So the main objective around celebrating this day is to promote the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities and to positively impact their socio-economic and cultural life. This is the broad objective. And there is also a convention associated with this, that is Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Students, remember one point here, India is a party to this particular convention. It's very important. It can be asked in prelims. Coming to the status of persons with disabilities in India, one important aspect that we have to note down is the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. This legislation was actually legislated in 2016, but despite having such provision at place, the effectiveness is questionable because, for example, even the minimal requirement of having ramps and footpaths in government buildings is not there. So even this minimal requirement has not been effectively implemented through this act. And second thing is, recently the government also weakened this existing law by actually decriminalizing certain acts that are done as a way of discriminating persons with disability. So this has further weakened the existing provision itself. The World Bank has estimated that almost 40 million people in India are living with disability, and out of this almost 45% of them are illiterate. So the disability is depriving them of education, and that is again depriving them of a better life. And in addition to this, even in India, the political representation for people with disabilities has been very minimal to the extent that only 4 parliamentarians and 6 members in state assembly have been members of persons with disabilities. So this is how the status in India is. But government is also trying to take steps to better the life of persons with disabilities. One such thing is the passage of Mental Health Care Act. So basically, under this, the attempt to suicide was actually decriminalized. This act also expanded the presence of mental health establishments across the country. In addition to this, it also removed the harmful use of electroshock therapy. Okay, this electroshock therapy has been misused on many patients with mental illness. So government has actually removed harmful use of it. And in addition to these measures, government has to focus on speeding up the process of implementing things that would actually make public places accessible for persons with disabilities. That can be done through Accessible India campaign, that is the Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan. So through this, the government has to further expedite the whole process of making public transport, building, websites, everything accessible to persons with disabilities. Once this is done, they would be able to have a better life in terms of socio-economic as well as cultural aspects of it. Okay. Students, we have come across many facts and figures around here. Even though you may not be able to remember all the facts, what you have to do is make a note of the conventions, legislations that you have come across here and use it in your mains answers. It will actually give a better understanding, it will show your understanding of the particular subject and it will give a good impression. Okay, so please make a note of these points around it and use it in your mains answer. The final article is on RCEP, that is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So this has been in news most often, and this is related to your GS2 paper under international relations topic. Okay. So RCEP has finally taken shape and it has been, countries have entered into the agreement, and this is a trade pact that India hasn't joined, and this includes countries from Asia Pacific region. This is very important, make a note of it. Though India did not join now, it has the provision to join in the agreement in a later stage, that is in future. First, let's see why India did not join. Basically, the major reason that was cited by India was the trade deficit that India has with China. So, if India has to join RCEP, the trade deficit would further increase. Also, India had been trying to negotiate certain concessions in the service sector, because we know India is more strong in service sector than manufacturing sector. So it had been working on trying to get work visas for ITES, that is information technology enabled services. So in this area, India proposed RCEP business travel card as well as RCEP service supplier card, but both of these were not accepted by the members of this RCEP agreement, and so finally India decided not to join this agreement. RCEP is going to be a trading bloc that is bigger than even European Union. So by not signing RCEP, India is seen to have lost an opportunity to get itself integrated with the regional and global value chains. But students, this is not the case, because Indian producers are not actually competitive like that of China. So, and this competitive factor is influenced by both internal as well as external factors. For example, China's manufacturers have a huge domestic market as well as an export market. So this market, when we integrate ourselves with RCEP, China would be a challenge for Indian manufacturers, because Indian manufacturers are right now at only the initial stage of achieving even a global scale, and when they are put into the competition without even proper support, they are going to come to this heavy challenge, and our manufacturing sector would not even grow. One example for this is FTAs, India's FTAs with South Asian countries. The merchandise export growth, that is the basically export growth of India, was only around 2.5% between 2010 and 2020. And before this, before entering FTAs, it was around 18%. So we can see how FTAs actually work against India. So if India had entered RCEP, it would have been at a disadvantageous position. So the only way forward is to become competitive in the manufacturing sector, and this competitiveness can be achieved only when the structural issues are addressed. So until then, even if we enter FTAs with any country, India would be in a disadvantageous position and it would not benefit India. So decision not to enter RCEP is beneficial for manufacturing sectors in India. So students, there are many articles that have come as well as will be coming on this topic RCEP. About the pros and cons of not joining RCEP would be discussed further as well. So make a note, keep making a note of these points in an organized fashion, so you get a holistic view of the whole issue itself, and you can present a better answer in your mains. So students, keep this in mind. And now we have come to the end of the session. Hope you like the classes. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel as well as visit our platform Skholar.com for more content, notes, videos, etc. Okay, till then, bye bye, happy learning.